Hello and welcome to another exciting episode with your host, Banto323, aka The Fester on YouTube and Twitch streaming. And today this is the side quest to rescue hostages at the base. So I'm going to forward through all this extra crap you don't need to see. And we're here at one of the, first mission areas, if you remember, from like missions probably 3 and maybe even 4, where you have to take out the general. Well, it turns out Kojima and team like to recycle a lot of their maps for the use of other missions here. So I tend to take a similar approach like I did those missions. Only difference is I still come in through the right, because you can kind of climb yourself up there to get to the hostage. And so eventually I get to another enemy combatant and interrogate him to get the exact location of where that prisoner is. It's just funny because it seems like every Russian soldier I capture and I interrogate, they sing like a canary and tell me exactly what I need to know. So anyway, I'll go ahead and fast forward a little bit to get closer to when I actually perform the operation here. So at this point, I go ahead and do some quick R&D, and I've discovered I can pick up one of the first sneaking suits. So I go ahead and plot it to go ahead and put this on for this mission here, and to my surprise, the sneaking suit is pretty much spot on sneaking suit to the suit used by Metal Gear Solid, or Solid Snake. Obviously several years later, just now looking at it from the new upgraded version of the game. And so it goes here and it lands pretty quickly. So I'll go ahead and wait here. And like with all equipment, new guns or new clothing lines that you are sneaking suits or camos, Snake likes to put on his suit in private in his little green box. And presto, I look like Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. And that's going to be the sneaking suit I used to go ahead and go on this operation here. I also do a quick request for ammunition, since I've used up my entire suppressor there and I have low on sleeping darts, since I will need that for this particular mission to try to avoid suspicion, since all the troopers are already on high alert from previous actions I had taken earlier that day. In the meantime, while I wait, I go ahead and do a couple of extra R&D research here and there. So as I make my approach, Sandstorm hits, and I use that to my advantage to go ahead and get to that one little secured building tower on the right, to go ahead and interrogate the enemy soldier, who then gives up the location of where the hostage is. Go ahead. And it tells me exactly where the soldier is. that I need to rescue, and it's immediately plotted on my map, which is great. So from here, I'm pretty sure I knock him out. Get his analysis. I forget why in the hell I decided to Fulton him in the end. I think his stats were pretty poor. I think at the time when I was doing the side quest mission, I just needed bodies to fill in Mother Base to do something, and as much as every soldier does improve your, you know, searchability, research, R&D, intel, all that stuff, technically, the higher the letter, the better improvements you get on the base. So this could have been worth half a point, whereas someone who's a level C would have been worth a whole 1.5, 2 points. So because I chose to do this just as a truck with the communications team guys show up, they of course immediately noticed the reaction. And since one of my last missions, it seems I've gotten the attention of the Russian military, so now a lot of soldiers now take anything that I do to a higher level of alertness, which was warned to us during gameplay previews at Game Developers Conference in E3 this year and even last year, that the AI in this game will improve depending on our playstyle of Metal Gear Solid. So in this case now, a lot of soldiers now are taking quicker notice to when something happens. Since they're on higher alert, everybody seems to be watching each other, so now I have to take out a lot more enemies as they come in to investigate what's going on here. And eventually I go ahead and Fulton all of these guys out of here because, like I said before, I needed bodies for Mother Base and everything here.
Too. Roger that.
So at this point, I go ahead and fast forward through a lot of my whole approach as I get closer to the hostage that's down below. And so because of, as I mentioned before, they've figured out how I like to take down enemies, they started wearing body armor that will probably be more resistant to stun bullets, as well as helmets now, preventing me from shooting them using a dart gun. Now, you can still shoot them in the face if you can time your shots carefully, but I've noticed that, of course, you shoot them from behind or something from the side, and the helmet will deflect the round there.
Thank you.
So at this point, I've already now picked up the hostage, and I try to make my approach out of the base here, wary that there are some enemies up there and up above me in the watchtower. But Snake being a little stronger, I can skip the stairs and avoid that whole path entirely. Though there is this one soldier here, so at this point I'm not too sure if I can take him out quickly enough to make my escape. But at the very least, I go ahead and try to hide around the corner and wait for that soldier to leave until I have my realization that, wait a minute, the entire front entrance has already been taken out. So I go ahead and Fulton the machine gun, because why not? It's always good to be used and stationed for your Mother Base defenses and future FOB usage. And at this point I decide to go ahead and use D-Horse to go ahead and extract this hostage using the helicopter versus the Fulton system. I later realized that it'll auto Fulton the rescued hostages later on as you get closer to outside of the, you know, the enemy zone, as it were, or the field of operation. And you'll notice that here in the video coming up shortly, that's what tends to happen here.
Roger. Great job. All right, we'll bring him out.
And see right there, automatically, once you get near the extraction zone, your rescued POW gets automatically rescued. And in the beginning, I actually had no idea that this would be a female soldier. I thought all the soldiers in this game were pretty much male, other than very specific key characters would be female. But that was a nice change of pace for Kojima to throw in a POW to save, which would end up being female, and later on end up rescuing that character. And what's cool is that female character, of course, shows up later on elsewhere on your mother base doing patrols. I think in this case I end up seeing her in the medical ward doing patrols, which was pretty cool. And as mentioned, gonna fast forward through all this extra gameplay, and just as I rescued that particular hostage, and what do you know, she's already right at my base. That's why I had to take a good look at her, because like she looked exactly similar to Quiet, but with a void cut hair. And yep, she was a rescued hostage from that one mission. She's already on my base, which is great. Much like any or many of your soldiers you rescue, they tend to immediately get positioned somewhere on your base really quickly for some reason, whereas captured soldiers take a little while to break and convince to join Snake on his operation with Dynamo. And so in this one I decided to go ahead and do a quick Sideops here as well, of just gunning down specific targets from the intel building. And that's what I'm doing, making my way up to the top there. So at this portion of the gameplay, I'm starting the next hostage rescue mission. It's one of the earlier missions that you can get in your Sideops. So the first one I think was like mission, like Sideops mission 6 or something like that. I rescued that first hostage, and I believe in this side quest it's not a hostage rescue, but instead I want to pick up a skilled soldier out in the middle of what seems to be this random roadway here. And this one in particular took me a while to find, because most of the maps are not really clearly defined as to where in the heck you need to go in terms of solid ground to get to where you need to be in order to locate these said targets here. But I end up managing to do it, and sure enough there is like at least a 3-man sniper squad. So I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward through a large chunk of all that gameplay that I took in order to find it, and I'm going to try to just stop right at the moment where it'd be useful for you to know exactly how to get there here. So I'm just going to cut my commentary here and just fast forward through a huge chunk of all this useless part of the video. As I mentioned, had to fast forward through huge amounts of exploring, but if you go up to the north and a little to the right, just south of where objective A is, or where I marked it on my map, or where the map says you should go to, you find the skilled soldier. In this case, he's a masked, specialized little sniper here. So I go ahead and I have to slowly make my approach, since now there are 3 enemy soldiers there that I have to take out. And since they're in such close proximity, chances are, regardless of what weapon I use, they would have heard me. So I chose to use the stun weapon, because as soon as they see me, I can hopefully use my reflex mode to take them out with headshots here. Also wanted to quickly mention, do your best to upgrade all your gear in terms of at least your bionic arm and such, because those seem to give you a little boost on your reflex mode if you read the R&D description. And so in this case, it gave me generally a good enough time to go ahead and pull a COD breaching moment here to take down all these guys. So hope you enjoy and hope this video was helpful. See you guys soon.